Okay, so once again, good morning, everyone. Today we'll be talking about something that uh, another application that you have access to, but we may not have talked about this in a while. I remember the first time we introduced the Headlight home dashboard was 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, back when the initial transition from our old project management software uh, to Autodesk Construction Cloud, and similarly when we migrated JC cards over to Headlight about 2 to 3 years ago. So that was when we first had discussions of that and the home.
Hello?
Hi, Michael.
Yeah, good. I
I
totally
will
forgot.
mute you, Michael. Sorry. But anyway, so getting back to the topic at hand today. So today we're talking about the Headlight home dashboard. So I just wanted to first start off with a distinction here. And I know a lot of folks can be confused at times about, Headlight is Fieldbook. What is Fieldbook in comparison to home? And essentially, Headlight has, and Craig, please correct me if I'm wrong, if any of this verbiage is incorrect. But essentially, Headlight has few different portals, and Fieldbook is just one of those portals. And it's been the one that you folks have been utilizing, or that we've been utilizing for field inspection for a while now. But that's the Fieldbook is the portal that's been used predominantly with HDOT for the last how many years, and obviously Fieldbook, everybody knows about Fieldbook, and there's a lot of guides and on what Fieldbook is utilized for. Obviously, in the beginning, with journals, spreadsheets, and reports solely in the beginning, but then now we've expanded to JC cards, change orders, progress payments, uh, material summary, and more. So that is all on the Fieldbook app, but there are other apps that are utilized that can be utilized on your project, and one of those I'm going to highlight today, which is the Headlight home dashboard. So just a few distinctions here. Fieldbook at headlight.com is the link that I'm going to put in the description here or in the chat. So this is the main one that you folks have been utilizing. And when you think of Headlight, you think of Fieldbook. But the one I'll be going over today is the Headlight home dashboard. So I'll copy and paste this. Some of you may have this link already, some of you may not. But both of these links are on the h.wiki site. So if you are not able to access them through the chat, you're able to access it on the wiki site. But the Headlight home dashboard, currently, what it will be used for you folks is the ability to see the different three main forms, right? We have the three main forms utilized in Fieldbook are JC cards, change orders, and payment forms at the moment. So this Headlight home page will give you ability to see a different view of these three forms. And I'll get into each of the dashboards here that Headlight provides. But before that, I'll just show you the difference between looking at all of the forms as a log on Fieldbook versus looking at it on the Headlight homepage. So at first, if I go into forms, I'll be able to see all of the different forms, right? So I'll be able to see JC cards, and this is the test project. So there are various different forms that are on this project, but you can see here there are JC cards, right? And then there's a progress payment, there's a change order. So all of them are on this one page, and you do have the ability within Fieldbook to filter for various different forms, whether it is in the name, whether it is for a certain status, whether it is for a particular date range. And I know for progress payments, this is utilized extensively. So similarly here, you're able to filter and you're able to, see the different forms. However, when we're going to the home dashboard, you'll see that by default, JC cards are just named JC card. And if you do not change the title of this, so by default, if you create a JC card, it's going to show like this, and then you go in and you fill out your form. and then you go and you submit it, right? You enter in all the pertinent information, and then you go ahead and submit it. But if you do not change this title, it'll just show up on your log page. It'll show up on the entire form page. It's just JC card. Now, in our best practice on the wiki site, we do advise that you take the JC number along with the material type number and add a description of what the JC card is, so that when you go to this form page, you're able to see the different types of, or to see the description of what was actually submitted on each JC card. But what I will show you in a little bit is the home dashboards filter it a little bit differently. You don't necessarily need to do that to be able to see it on the dashboard page. So with that, I'll get into the dashboard. So 3 main dashboards. One is the change order forms, one is the payment forms, and then the other is JC cards. I'm going to get to JC cards last. But I'll first open up the progress payment form, and obviously this is on my account and I have access to all projects. So you will not be able to see all projects on your end. You're only going to be able to see projects that are applicable to you. So your Headlight account has access to the projects that you need access to. So you'll only be able to see project information that you already have access to. And again, if you do not have access to a project that you think you need access to, then please reach out to us and we can get you added, or we can get somebody else who you need access to, who you need to get access to the project to. So just a note there. But anyway, similar to what's in Fieldbook, you have the ability to click a drop down and filter. Now this filter is a little bit tailored more towards what you will be looking for in terms of progress payments and JC cards and change orders. And the progress payment one is a little bit more extensive, or sorry, the JC card one is a little bit more extensive than the progress payment and change order one. But if you do have any feedback for any of these dashboards, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be able to work with the Headlight team to try our best to incorporate it if necessary. So please do let us know about that when you get in and you start using this. But this will give you a big snapshot view of just progress payments, and you're able to filter who created it by who created the progress payment, and you'll be able to filter by the applicable projects on your account. You'll also be able to download a CSV of this. So if you did need a at-glance view and downloadable CSV or Excel of this dashboard, you're able to do that. But we always advise to, try keep it in system as much as possible so that we can update live information. So if I look down at the log area, I'm able to see all of the payments. So I'm going to actually select a project. So let's just do a test project. And then I'm able to see all of the payments that were created on this project. I'm able to see the status of the payment, and I'm able to see, so a few different buttons to click. If I click on this blue hyperlink here, it'll take me directly to the progress payment. So it'll take me to the actual form, right? So it'll take me to the form where I'm able to edit things if it's not approved, right? Right now this one's in draft, so I'm able to edit it. But if I do go to an approved one, it shouldn't let me be able to edit as it's an approved file. So yes, it's approved. Okay. Now that is the blue hyperlink. So if I want to get taken directly to the form where I'm able to access, and if not approved, then I'll be able to edit it. But there's also a couple of different buttons here. Now, the green button here, discussion, it will show all of the milestones that the form has went through. So when it was created, when it was submitted, when it was approved, right? So when it was changed from a draft. So created by Francis at this time, turned from a draft when it was submitted, and then when the engineer approved it, when the contractor approved in CE, and the right. So it'll take you through the entire process of what the form has been through and the latest status of the form. So that's the green button. But then if I go ahead and I click the details button, then it'll take me to this page. And it'll take me to the history, right? We just saw a snapshot of the history in the discussion tab, but then it'll also, if I click on this button, I'll be able to be taken to this detail page. This is still within the Headlight home dashboard, where I'm able to, similarly to clicking that blue hyperlink that I showed you previously, I'm able to view the document. I'm able to see the attributes to the document. I'm able to see some of the metadata from this document. And then, one of the features that I actually use somewhat often is, in particular, not on payments, but on JC card, is this actionable user section where, if I'm waiting on a JC card and it's been over 2 weeks and I'm wondering what the status is, if I need perhaps an expedite request on a particular JC card, or even progress payment, right? If it's sitting with somebody for over 2 weeks and I wanted to check on it, I could either, go to Outlook and, create an email and create the email subject title and description and all of that. Or I could just come into the Headlight home dashboard, click on the pertinent document, click into details, and then I can just click this button here and it'll automatically generate a way for me to generate an email with the subject form. It'll copy the title, and then I'm just able to enter in the information that I want to, click send, and automatically create an email and send it to the next actionable user. So that is a neat tool that able to utilize on not only progress payment dashboard, but all of the dashboards available to you here on the Headlight home page. So similarly for change orders, if I go into change orders, I'm able to see a snapshot of the change orders that were executed, or not even just executed, but the draft ones, and the ones that are submitted, the ones that are pending, the change amount for how much did you put into it, right? How much you put into the change order, what is pending. Same thing, right? Click directly into the form for the hyperlink, discussion, details, same buttons on each of the dashboards. But similarly, you're able to go in and filter. Right now I have one actionable filter on, but it's the same filters basically for the change order form, and there we have this dashboard. Now I'm going to go into the JC card dashboard, and this is the one that is currently being most utilized, and we do get a lot of questions about, is there a way to view the JC cards from like at a glance, right? To see the overall JC cards on your project. And I know sometimes viewing it from this form page can be a little bit tricky, because there are not only JC card forms, there are change order forms, payments, paving report forms, all of the different forms that Headlight has to offer in Fieldbook, right? But if we go to the dashboard page in Headlight Home, we're able to bog it down to JC cards, and then obviously utilizing the filters here, we can filter it down even further for things such as form status. If I only want to see the acknowledged JC cards, if I only wanted to see, hey, what do I have on my project? I'm going to go back to the live item. What do I have on my project that is returned for corrections? So what do I need to take a look for, right? So I'm going to unclick that, and now I'm only getting Kawhi via the JC cards. Right? Similarly, same buttons. Hyperlink goes to the form directly. Discussion goes to the history, and details will take you to the overall details of the entry. So as you noticed, when we went into Fieldbook, some of these JC cards are not titled, so they're just named JC cards. So at first glance, you can't even see the JC card number. So you're not sure as to what this JC card could be. But if you go to the dashboard, it automatically titles it as the JC number, and it'll give the sample material, it'll give the section it's going to sample by, and the latest remarks that come with it, right? So, and most importantly, the status, right? So a lot of these are drafts, and you're able to see it. If you don't want to see drafts, then you're able to filter for only other statuses. for the JC cards, and this is just a way for you guys to keep track of the JC cards on your projects. And I do know that one of the pain points that we've been receiving recently is that JC cards will only give notifications when it is returned for corrections. So one of the things that we will take a look into and push for is notifications on all JC cards when they come back to the author, when they come back from lab, because that will help in our next step, right? Because as we get JC cards back from lab, there is always an action on our end, whether it is approved, whether it's rejected, whether it is returned for corrections, whether it's acknowledged. There's always action on our end to be able to communicate that to number one, the contractor, and communicate that to the rest of the team. So that's something that we'll work on and take that moving forward. I know that has been feedback that has been asked of previously and recently as well. So, but anyway, this Headlight Home dashboard will give you the ability to take an at-glance look of all the JC cards on your project and be able to see where you're at with all the various different JC cards in a different view than you have from the fieldbook dashboard. So, and similarly, you're able to download the CSV. So if you do need to take it out, edit it, manipulate it, send it to others, and you're able to download the CSV with the pertinent filters that are applicable as well. So, I mean, with that, are there any questions on Headlight Home? Okay. So if there's no questions on Headlight Home, I'd like to ask if anybody has any questions on anything in construction. And I know Craig is here, so if you do have any Headlight questions that you would like answered, he's on the call. So please feel free to ask away.
I guess this is Ryan, by the way.
Mhm.
To throw out a question there, or like a what would be a good thing is there a way where we can mass export photos of a project? So say for example, like I'm in the middle of closing up my project and I just want to have all the photos for reference, just in case in the future if something happens, is there a way we can export it into like export it to where we can click on uh, each individual photo, kind of like converting all of them into like JPEGs
Yeah,
instead
that's
of
a good
manually doing it.
right. That's a good question. And I will defer to Craig since he probably knows the answer better than I do.
I was gonna quiz you, see if you know how to do it, but I can share my screen here 1 second. Thanks for covering all that on the home app cord. And I guess one tiny clarification that might be helpful to people is that we refer to each of those different websites, I guess you could call it, just as apps. So for example, we have the Fieldbook web app, we call it, would be the Fieldbook website, but there's also the Fieldbook iPad app. There's the Fast Capture iPhone app. And like if you went to profile.headlight.com, that's where you can kind of change your password if needed. We refer to that just as the profile app, just the terminology we use internally. If you need to communicate with our support team, it might be helpful to talk about it in that way. Okay, here's my screen, and I will go to the Kauai Viaduct project also. So you can see this is just a junk photo I was taking in some various testing. But to Ryan's question, if you ever need to export photos from Headlight, you can do it individually here, which isn't quite what you're going for. But I just wanted to note that you can do it with or without annotations. So if people had done like drawing markups on it, you can always download it with or without that annotation. But you can download them in bulk by filtering for just images. And you can see on this one, and this project in particular is 325. That is quite a lot. You can maybe do just like a few months worth. So whatever subset you filter for, there's only one of them in that time frame because it's a test project. But here we go. We have 9 of them. You can filter for any subset. So I could look for maybe just the ones from certain inspectors, or I could filter for every image related to a certain contractor. Whatever filter you set, as long as you're filtering for just images, if you hit this download button, it will export those as a zip file. I'll show you that here. There's a few other buttons here too. If you did click this include original images and media download, it's going to download the larger, like full size original images, versus if I don't check that, you'd be getting, I don't remember the actual size of the photos. It's like a slight compression, so it's easier to download. I'll just do it and we'll see what those file sizes are like. And you'll notice it says your media collection is being created. It'll be in my downloads. So especially if you try to download hundreds of these, it might be quite a large file and it has to compile that. But the place you can then find that is by clicking your name in the upper right. One of these buttons is my downloads. And it may take it a little while. You can see with this admin account, I've done a handful of different tests over the years here, but oh, October 30th, that's this one already. Okay. And it's not the nicest interface. It's just in this default naming scheme, but you should be able to do this on any of your projects. It downloads it as a zip file to your desktop or wherever you download it to, I guess, on your computer. And then you can see, that's not 9 of them. Let's, oh, I think some of those observations may have been blank in Headlight. Let me do 1 second. So if I go back, sorry, the Teams stuff is in my way. I'm going to filter just back to this real quick. I think that, there we go. Yeah, so several of the images in this test project didn't have an actual image included, like somebody created it just practicing, or those didn't sync at some point. So that's why I had 6 images in that folder instead of the 9. But then I can extract that to my, wherever I want on my computer. And if I go to, yeah, it looks like they're 80 to, they're pretty small, but that's the way you can get all the photos. You can see it has like this default naming scheme. This test project doesn't have a contract number set, but some of that can be, you can see it does have the inspector and the date and all that. So that's how you can do bulk downloads. If you ever need to export, say, thousands of images from a longer running project, and if you did, for example, need it in a certain naming scheme, you might be able to send us a special request, and we could provide that just as a download file. But this is what's available directly within the interface. I do see a question in the comments. Is my downloads only in Headlight, in the cloud, per individual project, or on our computer? So that my downloads area will be, it's like your user account download area. So you can see here, I have some downloads I did for other projects in Headlight. So this is only visible to my account. If you logged in with a different account, they would have their own downloads folder. And it just always puts a new thing on top. Unfortunately, you can't like delete things out of here. It's pretty basic, but you can hopefully get out what you're hoping to get out. Ah, yes, I see Joel also commented there's a cap of 100 photos per download. It should create multiple zip files if you download more, I believe. Let me filter for a larger subset and show you what that looks like. But that's why I say if you're trying to download thousands of them, it should, it may be better to just ask us directly. And we could provide a nicer download that won't take you forever to get. You can see here it says you've filtered more than 100. It basically went away quickly, but basically it'll make multiple zip files that'll show up in here. And this one might take longer to compile because it has a lot more in it, but it should produce several files that would be your full requested amount of photos, hopefully. And if you can't get that to work for some reason, definitely let me know or contact support@headlight.com and we can help you out there if needed.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Craig. Is there last chance for now? Okay, I do see a question. Projects are closed in archive. Will they ever be removed from my current project list in ACC Headlight? It's a good question, and not sure if I'll let Craig answer on behalf of Headlight, but for ACC, there is the ability to archive projects, and we're currently, looking at ways of best determining the archive project in ACC. So there's ability in ACC to archive projects, and even if a project is archived, it can always be sent back to an active status, so it can be restored with all the information that is needed. So I do know for ACC, even if the project is archived, it will not be seen on your project list, but there is a way to restore if needed. And even if it's archived, you're able to download the information from there. So anyway, go ahead, Craig. Sorry.
Yeah, in Headlight, we have a similar capability, I believe. I don't think we've been doing that so far for HDOT, so that's something maybe we would need to look at Cord. That being said, one thing that might be of use to inspectors immediately that you may not know about, ideally, we would leave you in each of the projects you've been assigned to, and you could always come back to it on the web version as needed. But there is, I mentioned earlier, the profile app, we call it. If you ever log in on the web version of Fieldbook, you should see profiles, one of the options here, if you click on your name, or you can always go directly to profile.headlight.com. And one thing that is available at the bottom here, it's just basically your user information. You can always change your password in this. But one thing that's available if you scroll to the bottom is it does allow you to choose which projects sync to your iPad. So you can still be assigned to these older projects that may be complete. You can always come back to them and search for things on the web, but you can always turn it off or on for syncing to your iPad. And that can definitely improve the performance on your iPad because the way the iPad app works is it does sync. It like looks at every project every time it syncs. So even if you haven't done anything new on this project that I know is complete, it's still gonna like at least look at the project briefly to see if there's any new data every time it syncs. So not having 30, 40 projects syncing all the time to your project can improve the performance on there and theoretically save a little internal storage space on your iPad too, if you're concerned about that. And you can always adjust this. You can see there's loads of different bridges in here, but that's something many people may not have known about. But especially if you're having trouble with your iPad syncing slowly, that's something you might want to look at. Oh, we do have another question from Marvin. He says, in spreadsheet or journal, how do you delete extraneous observations? Again, as a review. So let me show this. Okay. So as an inspector, especially if you ever accidentally make something you didn't intend, you can always delete. The most obvious way is with the little trash can at the bottom here on the journal. Office level, office manager users, people that have approval ability, do have the ability to make edits and could even delete field inspector data if it was truly looks like an error. Basically, higher level permissions can alter things from lower level permissions. We do track all changes. So if somebody did something incorrect or malicious, we could always see what was done and when and by whom. And we can always restore things if somebody accidentally deletes something that shouldn't have been. If it was saved to our server at some point, we should be able to retrieve it. But and the spreadsheet is a little less obvious. Let's say you've made extra labor entries you didn't intend to. Let's do 2 of them here. On the web version here, you have checkboxes to select things. On the iPad, there's a blue select button, and then you'd have to tap on them. But once you've selected whatever you want, it should always pop up with this toolbar on the bottom saying what you've selected. There's a few buttons, add labels, create document, clone. This little hamburger menu, I call it, has additional tools. You can bulk change the date of things if needed, but one of them is delete. So you can kind of bulk select things by clicking all the check boxes and then hitting delete. Alternatively, if you hit the checkbox next to the date, it selects everything on that date. Or even further, if you filtered for all of today, you could hit select all. It selected everything on this sheet. I could also select all here, and now it's selected that journal item, and I've up to a total of 3 things selected, and I could delete them all at once with this button. So those are the various ways to delete things. Don't go too crazy. If you do ever accidentally delete like a whole day's inspection you didn't intend to, as long as it was saved to our server at some point, we should be able to retrieve it. It does usually take us a day or 2 to complete a request like that, though.
Very sometimes like for the weather, for the weather observation, sometimes there's multiple maybe dates, observations for the same date, and it might have been created by accident. But when I tried deleting, I'm not able to delete the one that was accidentally created. So does that mean maybe at my level, I don't have the ability to select and then delete?
Yeah, you should always have the ability to delete any you've created. If you can't delete another user's, it likely means they're at the same or a higher level permission level than you.
No, I meant my own.
Oh, okay. In that case, the reason I would think is that it is likely in a locked report. So let's say I just had this one weather, but I created a daily diary. And even if it's in a diary, you could delete it. But once it becomes, that diary becomes approved, or any document, if that observation was in a change order for some reason, if it's in any approved document, that report or form gets locked, but also that observation gets locked. So now that it's in an approved diary, the only way I could delete that is by first rejecting the document, and only the person that approved it would be able to reject it, or if you special request us as the administrators, we could reject something if needed. But once it's rejected, I could then push it to draft or submit, but then you should be able to delete that observation if needed. So keep an eye out for this little area. If you see that lock symbol, it means you won't have the ability to delete or edit that observation. And it's pretty much always because that's in an approved document, or because it was created by somebody that is at the same or higher permission level than you. Okay, any other questions?
All right, thank you, Craig. We will stay. Is there any other questions? All right, well, we'll stay on for a couple more minutes, but if not, thanks everybody for joining today. I'm gonna stop the recording. But we'll be all